Hey guys, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode we are going to be digging into Weedeaters. So this is my Weedeater that I've used for about the last 10 years. It's a Honda 4-stroke HHT25S. So I believe it's a 25cc model. It's pretty light duty. It has been serving me pretty well though. I don't do a whole lot of weed eating around here. But what I have done, this has served me really well. It had always started, had always ran great, so on and so forth, until this year, and it just it wouldn't stay idling, and every time you would give it throttle, it would just bog. And so finally did a compression test on it. Didn't have compression. That was after messing around with it, getting a new carb on it, this and that, and finally found online a piston, and this one is a 4-stroke, so it's going to have an upper drive train with valves, lifters, and it's also got in there a timing belt. So I ordered the timing belt. Figured while I'm in there doing that, 10 years is probably about the service life of one of these. Is probably pretty good. I'm not real sure. One service announcement though. Funny thing. So I was talking to some guys at work and said my Weedeater went down on me, and I'm waiting on a new piston from overseas, and it's going to be a month or month and a half or whatever it is. So a friend at work gave it to me. Said, hey, I used it one time, Troy-Bilt TB685EC, and this one has got all the bells and whistles. It's got something there you can put a attachment onto it. And I said, well, what's the issue with it? Well, turns out the issue is the dang thing is almost impossible to start. It's got something called a jump start on it. It's like a spring-loaded start assist thing. It's horrible, and I got it to start one time. We needed one time with it. Couldn't get it to start after that. Didn't want to put in the effort. If you're cussing something before you even get out and start using it, probably not a good sign. And sweating and stuff in the summertime here, it just wasn't worth it. And I ended up going on the Lowe's website, looking at the reviews on this thing, and they're like so many negative reviews, so many 1-stars, so many people that have said they've had either the pull start break or problems starting it, and this and that, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what's Troy-Bilt doing still making the thing? What's Lowe's doing still selling it? What's wrong? Are we listening to the consumer here? But, I mean, the specs are good on it. If you're just looking at the spec sheet on it, it's got a nice big engine. You can hook a pole saw up to it, or a trimmer, or use it as your edger, or your string trimmer, or, a hedger, or, whatever you want. So, but anyways, today's episode, we are going to try the impossible. We are going to try to replace a piston in a otherwise, pretty much throwaway piece of equipment. They don't make them, with just the jug pulls off anymore. It's like one whole kind of easy to assemble, made to manufacture assembly there. So we'll dig into it here, get this thing apart, and I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll see if we can't get a new piston in there. Welcome to Man Time. Alright, what I'm going to try to do here is separate the head from the body of it here, so I need to get all this stuff off. Hey, look at that. Alright. Pretty neat. Little clutch on the end there. Not too bad. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Yeah, see, there's just not a lot of compression there. I shouldn't be able to turn that over by hand, especially with it being a 4-stroke and all. Okay, that looks alright though. Looks good there. Alright, I probably won't have to mess too much with the top end, so let's focus on getting it split in half, which looks like it's going to happen from the bottom end here. Okay, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts, and it should just separate in half. Going to be this crankcase breather tube it's going to be hung on. Get that off of here. Let's see, before I take out this last one, I'm going to go ahead and pop the valve cover off of it here. And see, make sure there isn't anything kind of holding that, that belt on there. Alright, so valve cover. Look at those cute little lifters in there. Oh, aren't those cute? Look at them, they're so cute. Okay, let's see if we can maybe find top dead center. While we're at it here. So I've got a piston, I've got that upper cam, and I've got a new timing belt. So let's just kind of look at this, see if we can figure out how this goes together here. I don't know what that's doing. Okay, we do have a timing mark on there. That's good. So right now the timing mark is facing that way. I want it probably facing straight down. Yeah, alright, so that looks like top dead center there, with this facing down. I gotta figure out how to get that pin out of there. Select the right part. Alright, so there's the pin that holds this upper lobe in. Okay, so now it's just being held on by the belt. Be able to pull that out. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Lastly, we have got one last bolt here. Okay, so this flywheel's got to come off first. Got it. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Okay, we got some of our parts cleaned up here. You can see right here the bearing surfaces. Those look alright. There's a little one-way valve in here. So I blew on this and I was like, something's not right. Well, it's a little flapper one-way valve. And from here, we should just be able to take some stuff apart. Oh, look at that cute little piston. Oh, it's just so cute. Look at that little guy. Alright. Well, let's look for obvious signs of wear here. I don't see too much on the piston there. I mean, there's a little bit of wear kind of right in this area here. A little bit of wear down here. But all in all, I mean, it doesn't look too bad. Take a look at the cylinder. Let's take one more look here with it cleaned up. Okay, you can see wear right there, right down here. And there's the wear on this side of the piston. Sometimes these grooves here are pretty important. I know on like my Subaru, they've got a cross hatching like that. And when that wears off, the thing just starts burning oil like crazy and losing compression. So that might be what's happening here. I'm just kind of speculating, but because what I'm looking at is mainly this ring right here on the piston to see if there's maybe some blow-by that I can see on there, and I don't really see any. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so at this point, if I were to see like gouges on the inside of this piston, let's see if we can lighten it up here. Yeah, it's pretty hard to see down there. But I don't feel anything. And I don't see anything that is like super kind of bad news. May want to pull those valves out of there. Get those cleaned up while I'm at it. Yeah, the cylinder walls look good. And I don't see any scoring or anything kind of weird going on there. Okay. Well, yeah, let's lap the valves while we're in here. Just do a full service on it. Okay, so just to be sure that the compression leak wasn't coming from the valves, we're going to do a valve lapping job. For those of you that don't know what valve lapping is, it's basically reseating the valve into the engine. So, let's see here. Okay, well that was easy enough. And we'll just do them one at a time. Clean off our work surface there. Okay, so here's one of our little valves. And what we'll do there is we'll take some Scotch-Brite and clean that up a little bit, and then I'll show you how to lap it in there. Yeah, before we get too far in here cleaning it, let me just show you on this valve here what I'm looking for. So this area right in here where my fingernail's at, if there was anything kind of weird with the valve, you would see it right there. And from what I'm seeing a good clean seat all the way around there. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this valve, but we'll clean it up, we'll lap it in there anyway. Let's see here. So the way that I lap my valves in is to put a little valve lapping compound on here. And yeah, it's called valve grinding compound. And you're just going to get that all around the valve mating surface there. And then we're going to put the valve back in. Okay, and then we're going to grab it with our drill. That's a little bit too close there. All right, the next trick we can try is a little piece of rubber tube. You know what? On second hand for the valve lapping, this thing is so tiny. It probably doesn't need much. Like I said, this valve looked pretty good. If the other valve looks pretty good too, I'm not going to worry about it. But what you can do there is you can grab a little piece of rubber tube, similar to like your fuel line, stick it on there, and then grab a drill bit or something, stick that in the drill, and then stick that rubber tube. As long as it's got an inner diameter that's going to fit snug over this, and then find a drill bit about the same size, you can lap those valves in. But I'm going to do it by hand. You can hear that kind of grinding. That's just that valve compound. It's got almost like a diamond grit, like a really fine grit, and it's like basically using sandpaper, really fine sandpaper, to get those mating surfaces back to clean and perfect. So you just want to make sure after you get done doing that, you get all that valve grinding compound off of there. You don't want that rattling around in your piston and in your cylinder. Okay, yep, there goes one valve down. We'll get to the other one here. The valve springs are still nice and tight. Okay, so here it looks like we have the intake valve, and it's got substantially more wear. You can see the wear pattern right in that area there where it's kind of worn down a little bit. Oh, hello. We gotta get all this cleaned up anyway, so a little dirt never hurt anything at this point in the game. But by lapping this valve in, like I did there with the valve compound, that little thinner mark there should increase to the entire width of that surface. So that's what we're trying to achieve with that lapping. So I may have to hook the drill up and use the hose trick on this one. Okay, so here's where the valve comes through. Be careful because this one has a little nipple on it on the intake side of it. I thought for a second there this one did too, but this one's got a little bit different connection there. So that's how you can tell the exhaust from the intake, is that little nipple that's on the upper part of the head there. Alright, so inside the cylinder, you can see there it's pretty gunked up. What I'm going to do on the inside here is just take a little screwdriver and kind of scrape off some of that carbon buildup. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the valve lapping using the rubber hose method. So, let's see if we can find our stuff here. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is put some valve lapping compound onto this little valve. Slide it on in here. Okay, so now this valve is poking through the top here, and what we're going to do, see, I've got a drill bit about the same size, and I've got some fuel line here. So we're going to hold the valve from the back side up into the top of the cylinder. There we go. Now we've got our tube attached. We can hook up to the drill bit. Alright, let's see how that looks. And again, what we're looking for now is on this valve, we want to see that contact area has now been extended. I don't know. I don't know if we made a whole lot of progress there or not. Doesn't look like much, does it? That's kind of nasty. Okay, well, let's just keep going. Alright, so here's after our second round of valve lapping. Still not real happy with that. I don't know why that looks so bad. I mean, it's rough. It's definitely rough in there. Interesting. This one's got the little nipple on it. So that acts as kind of an extra seal. Down there. little extra seal. Okay, and that's how that upper valve train works there. Little cams, little followers on that main cam, pushing these down. Yeah, and that main cam could have worn out too. I guess that's why this would be considered a consumable. And you can see on there now where it's got, I guess it had like a bronze coating on there. The new one does, but it's worn off, you know, on there, so it's not going to be as smooth. Let's just hope this new piston is going to do the trick. Okay, well, that is going to do it for today on Man Time. Again, we're just taking apart the GX25, rebuilding it, relapping the valves, putting in a new piston, new timing belt, and then the upper cam lobe that drives the lifters and the rocker arms. So that's the end of part 1. We'll get into part 2 maybe tomorrow. So stick around, and thanks for joining me today on Man Time, guys. Get out there, have you some Man Time too.